Hello, everyone. The last session for the day. To start off with the introduction, I would start with Pallavi Singh, who is the marketing director at BMW, followed by Vivek Pandey, who is the revenue strategy and head of analytics at Times Internet. We have Atin Chabra, who is the global director and leads the digital customer experience at Schneider Electric. We also have Rohit Verma, who is the CEO and co-founder of Talk AI. It's a data science company and a global provider of programmatic solutions to advertisers. Uh, Before I start this session, just to bring to everybody's notice, this is kind of a true representation from the overall ecosystem, right from the agency side to the client side to the publisher side, and of course to a data and an engineering company. So I'm hoping to have a great discussion with all of you and probably try to come into an outcome and understand the barriers in terms of the programmatic adoption across the country. So before we deep dive into this, just a quick intro or understanding of the landscape of programmatic right now in the country. The programmatic evolution roughly started 5 to 6 years back. It's roughly in the range of 20 to 30% of the client's investment at this stage. There are few clients definitely who are evolved big time into this space, typically the e-commerce set of clients or an OTA set of clients. There is a high intent among clients to try out programmatic. They do realize the advantage of programmatic, but something seems to be bothering. Okay. Let me now bring in my first panelist, Pallavi, to figure out, is there some kind of challenges among marketers in terms of adoption? Do you find the adoption of programmatic pretty slow in the country at this stage?
Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining in. I hope everybody's safe and good. Um, I think it's glad to be on this panel. There's a lot of learning I kind of discussed with the panel as well before coming on this consumer panel. I think I learned more than anybody on this panel today. Uh, I think India is one market which is evolving very fast, and looking at the internet penetration and the digital transformation leading to adoption has been quite a lot. I come from primarily very traditional sector. Honestly, automotive primarily is very traditional when it comes to digital adaptation of more technology-led conversations or conversions. We primarily work more to do with get the consumer in, give great customer experience, give a beautiful test drive and an ownership experience, right? But I guess over, since past, I would say 3 years, I think automotive has become a very major client when it comes to programmatic. And programmatic is a function of, I think, believing that it's to ensure that there is a great customer experience, and especially a luxury brand has to do that. It's going to take time. You need the right people, you need the right infrastructure. Technology piece as a bedrock is very important to do programmatic. So in-house agencies, if they can support the larger cause of programmatic, along with driving strict KPIs, especially in the scenario we are in, I think everything has to lead to a KPI-driven data marketing. And programmatic does that. So personally, I think programmatic understanding, it's a adoption which especially automotive sector is rapidly doing at this point. But if I were to give two things which are critical, what we are looking at is really having the right skill set, looking at customer journeys which are very hyper local, looking at proper JBPs, joint business partnerships with right publishers, leading to better customer experience. And ultimately, we're a business, every business is here to sell. It has to lead to a conversion with a great customer experience to start with.
Pallavi, you touched upon the skills perspective, skill set perspective. Okay, is that a challenge right now in the country from an agency side or from a client side in terms of understanding the platform? Is that a barrier for adoption?
Absolutely, and I think transformation happens often top to down. It's not bottom to up. A lot of times, I think when it comes to solutions like this, they're also expensive, which means you have to invest and see changes coming in the future, and sometimes more mid to long term. They may not result short term. So skill, when I say, I think, especially marketing is no more a function of making beautiful ads anymore, but how whatever we do and has to lead to a step of conversion. It could be in case of automotive, of course, it's a test drive or selling a merchandise or an experience. Skill, when I say yes, there is. And that's why I think organizations and managers have to really invest, giving skill set to make people understand what data can do, not what platform can do. Platform is just a tool, but what can data do to impact the business? And that's why data-driven mindset takes time to build in, especially when it comes to creative aspect of the business.
Sure. Thanks for the initial thought. Let me layer your point of view with the publisher's point of view. Vivek, let me bring you into this discussion. Vivek represents Times Internet. We all see programmatic as a futuristic touch point and an important touch point. Are you seeing some kind of uncertainty among marketers for adoption? Why is it not scaling from your lens, from a publisher's lens?
See, I think first of all, while we are certainly on the publishing side of it, in a major way, but we are also a little bit on the advertising side of it. A lot of our businesses like say MX or Ghana or say NET Money are also on the buy side. So we are uniquely positioned to actually look at that problem from both sides of the table. And hence I can tell you, we have been talking to many of them who are advertising. Why is it not scaling up? See, there are two ways of running programmatic. You can either use the managed services model or you can use the self-service model. Most of the advertisers who have been brought up on the Google, Facebook ecosystem, right? They love self-service. We have a whole lot of young guys who just want to quickly get their hands dirty, want to get their data, don't want to pick up the phone or talk to 10 people, just look at their dashboards and keep running the campaign. So self-service bias is there in a large swath of digital marketers that we have today. Whereas programmatic, as Pallavi rightly said, is we have to not think too much about the platform, but worry too much about the data. And the platform today, for whatever may be their reasons, but the major platforms today, while they have a lot of good AI and a lot of good big data kind of stuff going on under the hood, the front end or the interface is not very usable, if I may say so. It doesn't sort of flow in a way people are getting used to say an AdWords. So I think one very big reason is that people want to do self-serve, people want to run it themselves, but when they try to do it, they find it like overbearing, very complicated. You know what, I'll probably need 10 people to help me out here. So now let me not go to an agency. So I think that is one very big reason. The bias towards self-serve and programmatic not really, at this point in time, not really suited to self-serve like say a Google search or a Facebook ads is. That's one. Second, challenge to scaling today is, usually we build systems for people. But programmatic, the way it has turned out, is a system that has been built and now we are trying to build people for the system. Right? So, as you questioned, there's a whole lot of activity in every organization today. Let's train people, let's get some people. There's a severe skill shortage. So we have put this big beast out there and now we are finding people to use it. So lack of skills, even, we have, of course, we have very mature agencies, very good, in-house advertising programs. Many of our panelists would be running them, but still it is very, very short. So I think, the skill set to run this brand new AI engine is very limited. And I think that is also limiting people from taking off at the speed at which other platforms took off.
So Vivek, I also had one more point in most of my conversation which comes across with clients. The rising tech cost, the rising platform cost is also one of the elements. Do you see that in terms of arresting it? So for example, today if $100 goes in, roughly the tech cost is anywhere between 10 to 15% of that. So that's not right for a client who spends so much of money for inventory. So do you see that also as a problematic area?
Absolutely. I think for the small to medium advertisers, that is a big issue anyways. For the bigger guys, who are moving money from TV to programmatic, they see this as a world of opportunity in terms of efficiencies. So they probably don't mind at 6 to 10% or 15%. But the guy who's moving money from a search and a Facebook and a display, normal display to programmatic, for them, yes, of course, the cost matters. But when we talk to the advertisers who, in our ecosystem, they say that, boss, we look at this as part of the ROI calculation. So if programmatic is giving me, say, the returns that compensate for this cost, I don't look at this as a separate cost element to worry about. So I think it varies from varies from client to client. If somebody is getting a massive ROI, they would probably not mind the cost. But somebody who's cutting corners and is like really obsessed about their CPA, yes, you're right, it will be a big issue.
So let me bring in Atin. Atin is responsible for leading the digital customer experience at Schneider Electric. Atin, how have you been leveraging the strengths of programmatic platform in terms of delivering the right customer experience across B2B, B2C, whichever set of audiences you look forward to?
Thank you so much for the question, inviting me. Great panel, absolutely, and absolute delight being here. We've been talking about programmatic. We've been talking about programmatic across industries. I think where programmatic becomes extremely helpful is when you start looking at it from a customer experience perspective, especially in organizations where the sales cycles is not a week, is not a day, it's not a transaction, but you need to stay with the customer for 6 months, 7 months, omni-channel, sales guys, webinars, distributors, etc., all those put together. I think that's where programmatic can actually add a lot of value. And this is also going back to Vivek's point that I think one of the barriers for adoption has been in these kind of industries where suddenly people say, hey, the returns are not short term. It is a long-term play. You need to put that kind of investment, and then you need to look at ROI from a customer journey point of view. And that is where the power of using programmatic for your own data and then targeting your customers at not real time, but at the right time by giving them those personalized message, which makes that value exchange of privacy, which they're saying, okay, fine, you can give me that kind of, you can follow me around, and we giving them the right messaging becomes extremely important from a customer journey point of view. And I think that's where it's no longer about the technology. It's no longer about the DSPs, the DMPs, the SSPs. I think it's about changing the use cases. I think it's about creating those use cases which are more beyond a customer experience, which is, hey, transaction has not happened, let's show him an ad and try to get him back. Where can we start using it? Is there an omni-channel approach to it? I think that is where, at least for B2B companies, at least for companies where the sales cycles are very long, programmatic is still untapped. And I think there's a lot of work which is needed, not only from the advertiser's end, but also from the publisher's end. How do we start looking at this ecosystem, this huge ecosystem, and create programmatic as part of the customer journey?
So I think, would you be looking at adapting to programmatic as a part of marketing transformation? I would like to hear the client's perspective. Probably after you, Pallu, you could take the same question. Does programmatic lead to, or is this a step towards marketing transformation? Atin, to start with you.
Absolutely. The way we're looking at marketing transformation, at least for traditional companies and B2B companies, is that can we start getting out from the top of the funnel brand awareness, visit cycle, and which is also, by the way, the case. Okay, we might want to go behind and say, no, things have evolved. It's not. It's still the case right now. But how can we start looking at the whole purchase journey? How can we look at search to revenue? How can we look at when somebody comes to us right from the service bit? And if that is a marketing transformation, that's where programmatic comes a very important point. Because if marketing transformation is all about, can we give the right messaging? Can we make it more personalized? And can we ensure that advertising or what the consumer sees from a communication point of view is not outside of the journey, but as part of the journey? That's where programmatic comes in, okay? What happens if I have a guy who's stuck at one stage of those 10 stage cycles of a B2B person? Can I show him the right message, okay? What happens if he comes to an event of mine? The whole emergence of MarTech, the whole emergence of putting all your tech stacks together works beautifully from a programmatic point of view, and thus programmatic is an extremely important point of your marketing transformation. Is it happening? I don't think so. Should it happen? Yes. And I hope, and this is a saying which is going around, in last 5-6 years, the CDOs and CMOs have been running ahead digital transformation, marketing transformation. COVID has changed that, okay? The digital transformation needle has gone from here to here. I hope programmatic is a big part of that, okay? At least for traditional companies who are looking at digital transformation and marketing transformation.
Pallavi, your point of view on this?
Atin kind of beautifully covered it actually. I think I just want to make one point. It's often because this whole thing is between, programmatic or tech or martech, any kind of technology kind of lies between the CMO and the CTO. And I think there's a bit of a, tussle, I would say, honestly, what CTOs understand and what CMOs do. And I think now there's a hybrid. A CMO is now a hybrid between a CTO and a business function, right? There was a time when CMOs were just looking at like communication and packaging, but now we have data, right? Data is ammunition for us, and we are talking with data, and that's something which has become imperative for, I guess, even the board members to understand that marketing no more is driving beautiful creatives in communication, but they're driving business, right? And I think programmatic is a very integral part to that. But I would still say to Vivek, and I think publishers or advertising agencies, that we really need to educate what programmatic can do for businesses, for manufacturers, or even small businesses, big businesses. Some people get it very fast because it's a skill set to learn. But I think education in this sector is also very imperative for people to know how the whole journey works and how all technology platforms come into play. I mean, I'll just give you one example. On marketing, we'll spend so many dollars, right? But when it comes to investing in a platform, which probably can give you much better return on investment on your marketing dollars, you will think 20 times. But if you were to say, I want to invest 30 crores in a campaign, which is across platforms like, mediums, we're okay to do that. But when we have to invest on a platform which is tech driven, we think 100 times. I think that's a shift. And if somebody can combine, and that goes back to publishers and advertisers, to show how do you get them together and see that it drives KPIs for the business. I keep going back to KPIs because ultimately you have to move that needle. If the needle doesn't move, then these are just tools. So I completely agree to what Atin said and to Vivek's point that, but I'm a big believer, I think, of letting the education piece get out, that how it moves the business needle, how it will help you to sell more products. I think if that piece gets addressed from the funnel point of view very clearly, then this is just a medium to advertise in some ways.
Got it. So let me expand this marketing transformation conversation with Rohit. Rohit, good afternoon. You're the last one to contribute to this conversation.
I know. I'm going to talk about transparency.
Data is one of the most important levers in programmatic, and we all agree it's a step towards marketing transformation. Right. How do you see company using data to its advantage? Are they using it efficiently? Is there an optimal way of using? Because you are in this space providing programmatic solutions across clients globally. So how do you see that?
Right. So thanks, Latish, and I'll take a clue from what Pallavi talked about. So I think from a programmatic point of view, a lot of panelists are talking about how skill sets are missing in this ecosystem. I don't think it is about skill sets. It's actually about the data. Now, data resides at two places. One is within the company, and the second piece is the programmatic ecosystem. Now, the programmatic ecosystem, or say ad tech ecosystem, there exists a lot of black boxes, opaque ecosystems where you don't have access to who the audience was, where your money was flowing into. So that's the problem. So I just want to address that skill set issue. It's not about skill set. It's actually about the data availability in the hands of people who are managing campaigns and marketing, strategies. Having said that, talking about the future of programmatic, you just have to go a little talk about the history, the background, the past. So if you see the ad tech ecosystem, including what advertiser has, plus what the ad tech ecosystem has, plus what today publishers have, they were all built in 2010 in that kind of a time frame. And today in 2020, they need rehaul. Rehaul is required because data science has come into the picture. Now the coming of data science is actually helping the brands to understand more about data, and some of the models of how campaigns got run earlier are being challenged. Now, the challenge is coming from the fact that every advertiser today talks about and asking questions is, where is my dollar going? So if you look at recent, which is as recent as last week, there is a advertiser association of UK. They have released a report. You can go to isba.org.uk. There's you will see the report. The report says that for every ad dollar, almost 50% of the ad dollar is goes missing in the programmatic ad tech ecosystem. So right from the commission-based, the incentive-based models which agency has or DSP, exchange, ad server, etc. have. So the 50% goes away, and the report also shows that out of this 50%, which is incomprehensible because nobody knows exactly who is taking what. 15% of that is unaccounted for. So we don't. The report says that it cannot put any name to where that 15% is going. So there's a huge ad dollar getting wasted or falling through the cracks. Now, on top of that, in the programmatic ecosystem, if you see, after you've earned a click from a consumer, now you going back thinking that the click is coming from a human, but if you follow Augustin Fau, Dr. Augustin Fau of US, he's a researcher on fraud analytics for ad tech ecosystem. He says that almost 70% of the traffic is fraud, which means that there's a long tail which is just spamming, click farms, etc., etc. So two things advertisers need to sort of worry about, and I think that will prepare them to for the future. One is how much of control do they have on the data that they own, and in the scenario where third-party cookies are going to go away, you will have to build an ecosystem of your own, which will consist of your customer data platform, your second-party data, ecosystem that you'll create to start addressing the campaign strategies. And the second piece is directly talking to the publishers. So the advertiser has to build an ad tech ecosystem in-house. So my sense is that going forward, in-housing will be a big thing for everyone, for the advertiser to own, manage, strategize. May not be operational because that may be eating into more useful times. But and on the other side, the publishers have to come in and start supporting a system which is extremely transparent in terms of viewability. So all of this comes in the path. And the second piece is, who do we take a take partner? So if you look at Google ecosystem and other ecosystem which are incentivized by commission, for them it is how quickly can I burn the budget? When you in-house all of this, you get a view of the data. Plus, you should work with a tech company which has a business model of a tech fee instead of commission, because commission can be manipulated at scale. So these are my 2 points, and I would urge advertisers to look at in-housing as a model, which has several benefits. Yeah, Latish.
Expanding on the quality is what we'll be speaking. Vivek, I would like to bring you in. How do advertisers ensure the quality of inventory? Of course, there are a set of tools and technology available. But tell me, as a publisher, how do you park inventory? Is it randomized inventory parking, or it's a quality inventory which you park so that the advertiser gets the best out of it?
All inventory at the end of the day is content. Right. So unfortunately, there has been an explosion of content, uncontrolled content on the web in the past few years, encouraged with machines on both sides. On the one side, you have machines producing content, and then this whole beast of SEO and content farming, that has left a very long trail of debris of wishy-washy content. So that content being questionable in nature, the so-called inventory on that content will of course be questionable. So one was that technical reasons for creating content, machine created content. Second big reason for all sorts of strange content being out there, a deluge of that being out there, was this whole wave of UGC. That there's no need for any editorial layer. You just allow everybody to create content, and machine will just filter it and let everybody view it. That UGC model, while of course gave rise to a lot of new stars in content creation, created a lot of money-making opportunities for smaller content creators, but has its downside. All sorts of content made its way to the internet. So that is on the production side, unmanaged explosion of content. Premium publishers like those kind of sort of publishing houses don't suffer from that kind of a drawback. You have controlled content, you have editorial layering, you have a long sort of a legacy of only putting out the quality material out there. So from a programmatic perspective, I think the time will come, and as Rohit was pointing out, all the 70%, if I may use the word sort of crap that he's talking about, that 70% is generated from all of this need for technical traffic, a need for just UGC content going out there. So marketers will have to find a way to filter it out. And I think the time has come where, while everybody was running after audience, but your audience on any site is not okay, right? Issues of brand safety are there. You have to be worried about the context. Just because your audience is there and programmatic gives you audience targeting, so your ad will show up on any site, does not work. So I think the time has come for contextual advertising, along with audience based advertising. In any case, post the end of the third-party cookie, when once the cookie crumbles, cross-site audience targeting will become anyways very limited. So what lever do you have now? Now the audience that you could find on 1,000 sites at the same time, you may not be able to find on 1,000 sites. The ability may become limited. So how do you reach? So I think I am getting a sense that there will be a very big rejuvenation or a rebirth of contextual targeting, which to complement audience targeting. And that's where people will find swaths of quality. I would see a lot of trend towards direct deals. First finding a trusted partner and then talking about audience and context. What is happening is that people just target audience and target context, but forget about the supply partner at the other end. So I think these two themes broadly, Latish, a sort of resurgence of contextual targeting and people being very, very conscious of who they are working with at the other end while they deploy the capabilities of programmatic.
So Vivek, in all my conversation with clients, there's some sort of MarTech infrastructure which needs to be discussed, and that's what the clients are directionally moving. So once that happens, probably it could improve a lot, right, from booking to end delivery. Rohit, I think I wanted to bring you into this conversation. Is the data infrastructure or a MarTech kind of infrastructure ready at your end? Are you visualizing that after some time?
Absolutely. So what you could see today is that brands already have a certain amount of data from their omni-channel created in the form of CRM. Now, of course, the privacy compliant data can come out and get integrated with the marketing facing customer data platform. So you pull that data into lookalike and segments which are custom built for that brand. And that CDP then interacts with the own DSP. So you have a DSP in-house which essentially hooks onto an exchange which is giving you direct inventory from the say for instance Times of India publisher website. So that way the stack would be very clearly your CDP, your own bidder or DSP, your own DMP, hooked onto an exchange. So that's how the path will be for a programmatic in-housing. From a preparedness perspective, I think it is ripe for advertisers to look at this kind of structure given COVID and the huge focus coming back on digital method of doing business, this is the right time to invest in such a tech stack. Also, if you look at the cost savings, so say for instance today, if you put in $100 into an ad campaign, and out of which, like I referred the ISBA report, if 50% gets away into the programmatic tech stack, which you can't figure out where it's going, you lost 50% of your ad dollar. And while at the same time, publishers are also sort of not getting that money. So for the ecosystem as a whole, a model where you have a commission-free media marketplace between advertiser and publisher is going to work, and I think it's right time for them to invest.
So, Atin, as a corporate, you have a plan for a MarTech infrastructure. Urmi, same question for you as BMW. Anything in terms of working towards MarTech?
Of course, meaning MarTech is the new buzzword, so everybody is talking, and somewhere everybody is working on it. Is anybody completely build their MarTech infrastructure? I don't think so. I think it's an evolving thing. I think what the main question comes in, I think one of the most funny things, something which I get very hilarious about is what data, when do you stop ingesting that data? Okay, I've had conversations suddenly like, hey, that data is very important, that will help in lead scoring. Oh, that will open. And then you figure out ways, try to integrate, then you figure out ways in your whole planning how to get that going. So I think it's an evolution. I think there are two aspects of it. One is that I think as marketers, we need to better define our KPIs. We can build as many MarTech stacks possible or ad techs or do it in-house, as Rohit said, but are our KPIs and is that MarTech stack actually helping it? And second, it is also an evolution. What I disagree with is that I don't think COVID will get people to invest in MarTech. One of the factors is that people are really saving money now, so they're not investing. But I know for a fact, and I think I can predict this, and please don't hold me in 2 years, is that when 2022, Google stops third-party cookies, I think that is when people will start looking at MarTech from a different point of view, thinking, how can we start making our own first-party data and using all our data to start just getting this whole programmatic back to a little more logical, more privacy-driven thing. My customers, I will reach out to you. Thank you so much for giving that valuable information of yours. So it's an evolution. And yes, we are part of that journey. Is it complete? Absolutely not. Will it be complete very soon? I don't think so. But the evolution is constant.
Pallavi, your point of view on that?
I think just building on what Atin said, I think MarTech is something which people started to adapt 3 years back. It's not both PCR, it's pre-COVID as well. In my previous roles, I've kind of implemented a lot of MarTech platforms before, but I think the point is before defining, and we are building a platform as well in BMW, but the point is that defining clear use cases, every business has a different need, right? And every business is different. Defining specific use cases which impact consumer first and then second business, I think that combination is very important. So that's one piece I look at from a marketing and technology piece. Second, I think it's key that to learn from hotels, right? And if you look at really luxury brands like a Chanel or a Louis Vuitton or a Fendi, they've been doing marketing technology since donkeys of years because they've always believed in serving the customer first. So it's always been personal. It's always been one-on-one. They'll always knew which is that first product which is coming, which is first given to their existing customer base. Yeah, we don't hear about discounting on these brands at all. There is a queue for a new XR phone getting launched and the way Apple does it. I think there are these pieces already there, but it's how fast you will adopt them and how fast can you execute them. One is adoption and second is execution, right? I think those are very, very important imperatives to look at. But I think personalization is key. talking to your customers directly is very important. Brands have been doing it. Look at the Oberoi Group. I mean, just one example of Oberoi Group. You go to stay to an Oberoi hotel, they know that you are somebody who likes particular kind of a chocolate, or you're somebody who likes Italian. They've done the research. So it's about how like what Rohit was saying, I think, how do you look at data? And what data can help you simplify your business need is what technology can do. Don't get fascinated by technology, I think, but how you use technology for your business result and get great customer experience is going to be helpful. Brands have been doing it for a long time. I think certain brands have to up their speed.
Agree. So Vivek, a quick question to you in terms of the tech cost. I'm still expanding on that question. Vivek, I'm not going to leave you. Do you think if you bundle up as a publisher, if you bundle up everything into a single CPM cost, that could probably have a far more faster adoption in the country? Just changing the model, something as just one CPM with all the tech costs. Have you ever explored that thought?
No, absolutely. I think it's a very good question. I think it's a little bit late for that. Once the cat is out of the bag, it's very hard. People have tried.
To reinvent.
People have tried that in multiple other use cases. You know what? This is looking a little bigger. Why don't I just blend it in? Advertisers, buyers today are very smart. Everybody would they know that cost is hidden somewhere, and they would want to sort of give you the unbundled number, and then so that they can negotiate on that. So I think it's a little bit late for that. Something else may have to be thought through to sort of cover up the inefficiencies that people see today. But I think, there's a way out. The way out, and I think, what you're trying to get at is that, 10, 12, 15% inefficiencies that people have begun to associate with that and then try to avoid this ecosystem. The way out is that we have to probably try to find the right positioning for programmatic. I was seeing in some of the questions as well, people still peg it with say a Google search or with a Facebook advertising, which is meant for performance, which is not meant for brand metrics, for example, which is not meant for long-term plays, like Atin was saying. That entire model is biased towards short-term conversion-oriented ecosystems. So if you keep pegging programmatic against that, and I'm not able to find a true positioning of programmatic, you won't be able to justify 8%.
So in fact, you just kind of answered one question from one of the audience, Pulkit Mathu. I've seen the conversion from search and GDN are far better than programmatic. I wanted to know your point of view. So that's what you answered.
Absolutely. And, because, I think what has happened is, and, we run this show, ET Catalyze, where, we have these marketing conversations with people. And just in the last episode that we were shooting, this issue came up that, BFSI industry, the insurance companies, the mutual fund companies have done a lot of cause marketing, collective cause marketing. For example, insurance buying was something that was not understood at all in India. So all the insurance companies got together and, Sabse Pehle insurance and this and that, they established that in the mind of the consumers first. Similarly, the mutual fund industry got together and did a massive mutual fund sahi hai kind of a campaign to establish people that, mutual fund is not buying property. Mutual fund is not like buying equity. So I think it is the story of programmatic has not been told very well, since it has been built by geeks, if I may say so. So I think the whole evangelization of it also has been very geeky, that, this is the technology behind it, this is the AI behind it, but what does it mean? Where does it fit in? So I think one approach could be that, the bigger players get together, come up with a collective strategy to sort of position programmatic correctly, that, it's not very far from TV and it's not very far from print. It's not so close to Google search as you probably have in your head. So I think a sustained campaign like that and a lot of evangelization would be needed to explain that 10 to 12%. I don't think you can blend that and do some cost engineering. Advertisers will see through that.
I think this is for you. This question is an extension of what Rohit touched upon, the report, what he was speaking on. This question is from Nitya. How efficient and recommended is programmatic advertising for a B2B brand? Maybe quickly, if you could just touch upon your experience.
Correct. So like Vivek said, and this is okay extension to Vivek, you have to look at programmatic from a different lens than you look at search and GDN, etc. And that's why it becomes very important for B2B brands, because traditionally, if you look at B2B brands, there has to be a high awareness, especially from a long sales cycle point of view. Can programmatic help there? Yes, absolutely. But that's where also the adoption is a problem of our programmatic, because the moment you start talking about digital, and programmatic is definitely part of digital, people only look at ROI. So the moment you start comparing programmatic to TV, but they're like, then we can do TV, no? Then why do we need to do a digital ROI? So Vivek's right, there has to be a positioning, which means all the industry leaders of Times, everybody need to come together, get a brand manager for programmatic and position it well, saying that yes, it is about ROI, it is about return on investment, but there is a bigger play also, and that's where programmatic does come in. Am I a big buyer of it? I'll be very honest, no. I still look at programmatic from an ROI point of view. So somebody who believes in this also needs to be changed. Just think about the whole industry. That's adoption. But to the question, B2B, it does work. It does work.
Latesh, just wanted to add here.
Sure, go ahead.
So, see, ROI is something is for the digital advertising anyways. I mean, right from search, social to any other form. So just wanted to sort of explain this in very, very simple words. Earlier we used to have IO-based.
Yeah, Rohit, you have 60 seconds, quickly.
You had IO-based advertising. In programmatic, your ability to do, in real time, in like 600 milliseconds, you are able to search for your audience at a scale. So you can search for an audience in thousands of websites, and that method of buying is programmatic. It's actually nothing else. It's about how, beyond the IO model that we had earlier, a couple of years back, how the buying method had changed from, manually, inserting an order to automating the process of buying that same media with a much higher consumer attribution. So this is programmatic.
Very rightly put, actually.
Yeah. So there's one interesting question for the agency side. So let me attempt answering this. Since everything is becoming more about data and automation, how are the current agency media roles being redefined? How equipped are the agency to handle the challenges with regards to data security? So the way agency I represent, let me assure you, there's a huge amount of security with regards to data. There's a data policy framework already in place. We've already moved into automation for the last 12, 14 months. So there is a kind of upgradation also happening from the agency line in terms of keeping up with this current ecosystem. Now, quickly, the last 3 minutes, final 20 seconds, if each of you could just throw your point of view. In a in a cookieless world, how does the data infrastructure look like? Would it impact the programmatic ecosystem in a big way? So by 2022 is where the cookieless environment would come in.
Yeah, sure. I think, with this whole post-PCR, the world's going to change, and 2020 is too far to talk about. I won't talk about 2022, considering what can happen now.
Sure.
I think looking at right now, businesses are looking at what is short-term to mid-term benefit which can come. Guess both have to coexist, like what Rohit was saying, and I really like the way he explained it, honestly, for everybody, and I think for me it was an eye-opener to understand as well. But I think both have to coexist. Anything which leads to conversion faster, and something where you can track your consumer and target them what they need and what they require, which is what programmatic is. You can follow your customer through the customer journey, and then which takes longer, and of course is a bit more expensive than what we do in other forms of digital marketing. So in a nutshell, I think from my perspective, short to midterm, both have to exist, have to be on a bedrock of technology platforms, which is marketing automation, and really working in-house with the agency models to drive business by the end of the day, I would say, is as my last comment. Yeah.
Sure. Vivek, your point of view as a publisher, quickly, 20 seconds.
Cookieless world, I think, time has come for first party data. People who had invested in first party data early, I think it's going to be a gold rush for them. Contextual targeting, as I said, the time for contextual marketing has come back, will complement audience targeting in a very big way. And, going back to the original point, the platforms themselves have to become very intuitive, very usable, because self-serve is the future, managed services is not the future. and of course the need for a mega brand campaign for programmatic collective marketing to establish its correct positioning. I think
As an industry.
yes. I think
Yeah, I think your point of view.
So second and third completely, Pallavi and Vivek's point, I think 3 points which I'm going to repeat again. First party data, first party data, first party data. Add to that some second party data. Is it possible that Pallavi and I both do a partnership and just start sharing our data? Who knows? Maybe that can happen. But
Absolutely.
that's something one needs to start being a little more creative on those aspects. Marketers need to start going back to the walled gardens, create those strong relationships with them, because I think that's what's going to happen when third-party cookies go away. And the last thing is, like Vivek said, back to the basics, contextual advertising, and very important, I think Rohit's point that resonates with everybody. It's the basics. It's fundamental digital marketing. Programmatic is no Hawa. It's just the way you buy it. Let's go back to that. Let's look at the customer first. Let's create that consumer journeys, and DSP, DMP, SSPs will change to ISP, some other
Whatever.
words, but it's the basics again.
So, Rohit, last closing statement, 20 seconds for
So
you.
if somebody is worrying about third-party cookie, please do not worry. You can go to my website, contact us. We will create, environment for you wherein you have very well established second-party cookie ecosystem, and with that comes quality media. With that comes fraud-free media. With that comes everything that you want to sort of imagine for a digital campaign to run smoothly, like viewability, brand safety, attribution, etc. And once you have the data, it makes your team so much more capable. I mean, I can say that, from a creativity point of view, I think we do wonders. I mean, all awesome creatives are in the market, but when they don't run properly in the programmatic current ecosystem, we always go back and say, "Ye to creative nahi chala, you didn't target it well." It's not about that, because the data is not available. Which Vivek's point, first party data, and Atin's point as well. Unless you have a first party lookup on the publisher, probably you will never understand what the publisher is capable of. So my point is, invest in the tech stack, which will in long term benefit the brands.
Sure. So that's the end of our session. Quickly concluding what we spoke of. Of course, we all agree programmatic will accelerate in time to come. It does give benefits to clients from a data-driven marketing. It addresses media wastages. And as Rohit said, brands should explore a MarTech kind of an architecture. But at the base level, three takeaways. We need to focus on reskilling and upskilling our employees in terms of understanding and addressing the short staff. We need to kind of look at arresting the tech cost. And thirdly, the way Vivek put across as an industry, come with a mega campaign where all the stakeholders are involved in terms of simplifying programmatic. So that's the key takeaway. So with that, I thank all the panelists. Thank you so much.